Hey guys, it is your homegirl Katie once again, and I want to thank you for coming back to my channel. It's awesome to have your support, and today I am going to talk about some do's and don'ts of college. So preparing beforehand, once you've gotten accepted to college, and once you arrive at college. So I'm going to start with the process of applying and even figuring out what you want to do. My recommendation is that you start thinking about what you want to do and where you would like to go to college in your sophomore year. And that seems kind of early, but at the same time, like, sophomore year is the year that you don't have to stress about it yet. So it's super important that you at least start thinking about, okay, what sort of field would I like to go into? What are my dreams? What are my aspirations? And thinking of things like, okay, I could see myself being a veterinarian, or I could see myself being a lawyer, or in my case, I can see myself being a marine biologist, which in my sophomore year, I did not think I was going to be a marine biologist. Having an idea of what I wanted to do gave me a good start into seeing where I wanted to go. Also, with that, don't stress about it. Honestly, like, I know a lot of people don't know what they want to do when they're sophomores in high school. I mean, you're like, what, 15, 16? It's very understandable. You look at just a variety of different fields of study. You can literally type in Google and say, oh, what job should I do? And it will give you some information regarding what field you'd go into, what field it would be good for you to go into. With that, I would recommend taking your ACT or SAT, depending on which state you live in, the end of your sophomore year. Now, in the state of Nebraska, and I think several other states, they actually require that you take the ACT at the end of your junior year, and that is awesome. But in order for you to get the best score possible, you really have to take it more than one time. I would strongly recommend taking it at the end of your sophomore year, at the beginning of your junior year, the end of your junior year, and then at the beginning of your senior year if your score was not satisfactory. Now, if your second time on it, you're like, my score is as good as it's going to get, like, this is awesome, I'm satisfied, then good for you. You don't have to take it again. But seriously, starting at the end of your sophomore year gives you the most time to improve your score if you want to improve it. Apply early. You start applying to schools the summer before your senior year, at the very beginning of your junior year, sometimes even the end of your junior year, depending on like what schools you're applying to and stuff. But the earlier you apply, then the quicker you can have all of your options solidified. But also, with college applications, don't apply to a college if you're really not going to go there. I remember that when I was doing the application process, I was like, okay, am I going to fill out a University of Nebraska application because it applies to UNL, UNO, and UNK? And I was like, I probably shouldn't I? But you see, applications cost money. And I realized, you know what, if I'm not going to go to the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, Omaha, or Kearney, then there's no reason for me to pay the money to apply there. Also, when it comes to finding a school that fits you, it is super important to visit schools. And you don't have to do like the official college visit, full tour, cafeteria, everything. Like if it's just a certain school you kind of want to get a feel for. For example, I never took an official tour of the University of Nebraska Lincoln campus, but I've been on the campus multiple times, used the bathrooms, eating in the cafeteria just for various events, and so I've seen campus and been around there, and I knew just by that it wasn't going to be a good fit. So sometimes just walking around the campus or visiting the campus is a good enough indicator. And then if you visit a campus and think, I kind of like this layout, and you can set up one of those official visits with the cafeterias and the tours and everything. Also, when you go to visit a school, like, officially, don't go just to go. You have to go there because you're thinking about going there, or your parents are thinking about you going there. You have to have a purpose. And with that, Ask questions. Get the feel for the college while you're there, because it would be terrible for you to visit this college and be like, good enough, and then when you actually start classes, it not fitting you. So that is not recommended. Another thing to consider when applying for colleges is your budget. And that is like a sensitive topic, but also don't apply to schools you know you're not going to be able to afford. With that said, when I say you're not able to afford, that means after all of your FAFSA grants, scholarships, and all that other things kick in, if you're not going to be able to afford it,
with loans that you need to take out, and if you're paying it for yourself, you're not going to be able to afford the loans, or if your parents are paying for it and they can't, just
don't get yourself in so much debt. Honestly, you have to look at what you want to study versus the cost of getting your degree. If you want to, like for me, I want to study marine biology, and the entry-level positions do not make very much money. So if I were to go to a very expensive school just to get my bachelor's degree and have so much money in debt and then work the next 20 years of my life to pay it off, that's not a good choice. It's kind of why I like being here at Northwest, because I'm not paying so much for my undergrad, but I'm still getting a quality education, and I have the opportunity to go somewhere prestigious for my graduate school, because I am choosing to save money as I go into my bachelor's degree. Don't look at colleges without looking at the scholarship potential and your financial aid potential. My parents make too much money, so I didn't get any financial aid. However, because of my grades, I got the maximum scholarship here at Northwest, based on admission. So it ended up being significantly less for my college expenses than some of my friends who stayed in state. So visit your college, make sure you can afford your college, and if you honestly don't know which school you want to go to, it's okay. You can compare, make a list. Okay, this school has the best dorms, but this school has the best faculty, but this school has the best resources for me as a student. So there are so many resources that you can use, such as Education Quest, or your school guidance counselor, or even your parents, to help you make the decision of what schools to apply to and where you want to go and what you want to do. And honestly, the main time for you to stress about that or worry about that would be about your junior year. Congrats, you've been accepted into college. Now what? So, once you've been accepted to college, you're going to have to start thinking about all this logistical information. So, once you've been accepted, find a roommate that you're going to be compatible with. We had this app called RoomSync, and it was similar to Tinder. So you'd swipe right on people that you could possibly be a roommate with, and you swipe left on people you didn't want to room with. Then they ranked them based on their preferences, with like bedtimes and what time they're getting up, and whether you like to share stuff, and just all that sort of thing, and find somebody who's compatible. Now, that being said, don't room with your best friend. Like, if your best friend from high school is going to the same college that you are, don't room with them. You will not be best friends after your first semester. What I would recommend is having different roommates, but trying to get into the same building or even the same hallway. Like, we can pick our rooms, so if you get there, like right when room selection opens up, you can make it happen. Just don't do it. Also, pack early for college. Accumulate stuff over time. Don't just like go to Walmart and say like, okay, here's my list. I am buying every single thing now. Because number one, you're going to forget something. Number two, that's a lot of money at one time. And it's frustrating and annoying, and I totally packed for college wrong. Yes, pack early. I put my clothes and everything in my car the day of. Like, I had some clothes out on my floor. I was like, yeah, I'll take these, whatever. But for the most part, I packed everything the day of. Like, I left my house at 8 a.m. and I packed everything at like 5 before I was going to school. Like, don't do that. It was a terrible idea, and I totally regret it because it just it was a pain in the butt. It was just bad. It's just bad. Don't do it. So now you are starting school, you are starting classes. Now go to class. I cannot stress that enough. If you miss a day of high school, it's like, okay, whatever. Like, I just missed like a worksheet or like a little bit of notes about this one thing. Like, no, in college, during one class period, you will miss like an entire chapter and you will be screwed. Don't do it. Don't skip class. Also, if you're skipping class, that's like the equivalent of paying, I think we calculated it was $160 per class. So you are paying $160 to sleep in. Now, is it worth it? That is the true question. So, also, getting to know your professors is super important. And I haven't done an excellent job with this yet, but there are a couple professors who I really am getting to know her, and I'm not afraid to ask questions. Most of your professors, if not all of them, will have office hours, which is time that you can go in their office and talk to them about whatever, or if you have a question on your homework, or just that in general. Please go to office hours. It is so important. You can get important information from your tests. You can get help on assignments. You can really just talk and get to know your professors personally, and they will give you excellent recommendation letters later. Like, seriously, talk to your professors. But, like, do it during office hours, or, like, make an appointment. Don't just go right after class, because it's like, okay, you're not telling them that you value their time, and that is so important. If you show that you value your professor's time, they will give you more of their time, and they will use that time better. So, with class, please study and read ahead of time. As a freshman, I have a lot of introductory level courses, and so the material isn't that difficult. But man, like, my first psychology test came up, and I did not spend enough time studying, and yeah, I got a B on it. Like, it was fine, but I really wanted an A, and I kind of learned that I needed to push myself a little better to read more. Do not cram the night before. Don't do it. The best thing you can do the night before a test is get a good night's sleep. Always. If you don't know the material by the time you go to bed, before, like, the night before your test, then you're not going to know it the morning of. You're committing it to your short-term memory, and honestly, that's not going to hold while you're taking your test. So with the first exam, your first exam of college is considered one of the hardest because you don't know what to expect. So each class is going to be a little bit different with your exams. So, for example, I went in my biology exam, and I was super prepared. Well, I could have been more prepared, but like, once I started taking it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do okay on this. Like, low B, high A, or low A, high B, like, I can do it. And then I actually got my results back, and I got 100 on the short answer and like an 86 out of 90 on the multiple choice. So I did much better than I anticipated. Whereas with my psychology exam, I was like, okay, I got an A on this. Like, no, it was a B. So just study and read ahead. It will help you be so much more prepared, especially when you get to topics you don't understand. If you don't understand it, go to office hours, talk to your professor, talk to your teaching assistant if you have one, or graduate assistant, just, or even a peer in your class. Because if you don't understand it, chances are that somebody else in your class isn't going to understand it. So, with college, it is so important that you make friends. And that sounds super, like, trivial, like, oh, like, college is about learning, but, or, like, partying, or, like, everybody has a different misconception of college. But honestly, you cannot be successful in college if you attempt to be successful alone. Talk to people. You have people in your classes. You have people that you pass by. Like, eventually, you're, like, as you go on your day-to-day whatever class schedule, you're going to be walking past the same people because you have the same schedules, like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, or Tuesdays and Thursdays, etc. Like, it's gonna happen. So talk to people in your classes when you're walking to class, your roommate, people in your hall. There's always people to talk to. With that said, you can study with these people. Make friends with people in your classes, because if you miss the class, you can get notes from them, you can study from them, they will be there. If, like, I'm not saying like they're always going to be there if you ain't, but if there's some reason like you're sick or something, you can text them, hey, like, I missed this class because like I'm sick, can I borrow your notes, or can you send me a picture? And they'd be like, sure, fam. Like, make friends with people in your classes. Do not stir up drama. High school was kind of all about drama, but in college, nobody cares. Nobody cares. There's been some drama in my friend group recently at college, and honestly, like, that's the point I'm at. Nobody cares. Get over yourself. If it makes you upset, then sucks to be you. So that's a struggle. Don't stir up drama, and honestly, like, don't feel pressured by any of your friends or people who you're friendly with to do anything you're not comfortable with. For example, if you're going to a party with some of your friends, don't feel pressured to drink just because everybody else around you is drinking. Honestly, like, nobody cares. Nobody cares if your friends are all, like, doing a drug or something. Like, nobody cares. You don't have to do it. Say, like, I ain't down for that, fam, and they'll get you. Like, and just be like, oh, I got a test tomorrow, or like, you know, there's always something that you can say. You don't feel pressured to do anything you're not comfortable with. Like, that goes for your parents too. Like, don't feel pressured to dress up all the time, like, if that's not you. I mean, like, I'm not saying dress like a slob, because, like, don't dress like a slob. Like, take value in your appearance, but at the same time, like, you don't have to dress up every day just so that you think people will like you. I think there's a nice balance in between dresses and pajamas, and even though I definitely wore pajamas today to class, it was just for my 8 a.m. It's fine. I went back and changed after. But you just have to find that balance and be able to find who you are and not worry about what other people think. So these are some tips that I have for before you go to college, in the process of being accepted, and before you are accepted, and for just friends in college and then class stuff once you get started. And if you have any questions, you can email me at katiejean'snotmylover@gmail.com. You can comment in the video, and I will answer as soon as I can. Please like, subscribe, plug me to all your friends, fam. And once again, in the words of Abraham Lincoln, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.